I never thought I'd be having to have a rant this Christmas. But here we are. Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm already here with a brand new rant. And this rant is going to be for a bad Christmas film you saw me talk about before. And it's one that, believe it or not, actually gets praise from people. I don't know why. Some weird reason it seems to get love from anybody. But this review or rant is going to be for none other than 2003's Love Actually. Or as I would prefer to call this, Lust Actually, because that's clearly the plot of this bloody movie. Well, anyway, what's the plot of this Lust Actually? Well, it's not really a plot. It's multiple stories combined in one 2.5 hour long movie. First off, we have against the backdrop of age-has-been rock star named Billy Mack, whose Christmas-themed comeback cover of Love's All Around. He knows it's crap and he makes no bones about it, much to his manager Joe Sargent as he promotes the record. Then several interrelated stories about romantic love and the obstacles to happiness through love for Londoners are presented in the 5 weeks preceding Christmas. One other story. Daniel's wife just died, and he has to take care of his stepson, Sam, all by himself. Daniel's now uncertain how to deal with Sam and his problems without his wife present, especially in light of a potential buddy romance within their household. And Juliet and Peter, on another story, have just gotten married, and they believe Peter's best friend and best man Mark hates Juliet, but won't say so to his or her face. And others look at the situation from the outside, believe Mark is jealous of Juliet, and he's in love with Peter. And then Jamie, a writer, is taking a writing retreat by himself in rural France following this catching this latest girlfriend in an indiscretion. And Jamie ends up spending much time in France with Aurella. And the Portuguese woman hand is the housekeeper. And the question becomes not only if they can communicate their day-to-day needs with each other, as she speaks no English, he speaks no Portuguese, and neither speaks French very well, but they communicate what seems to be their increasing mutual attraction to each other. And then Sarah has been in love with her coworker Carl for the 2 years they've worked together, this attraction about which everyone in the workplace knows. Sarah has to decide if she can be forward enough to express her love directly to Carl, especially in light of what has been her personal priority of dealing with a family issue. Then Harry and Karen, in another story, have been in a stable long-term marriage, and his new assistant Mia drops hints to him that she would like them to be romantically involved, and Harry has to decide whether to fall into temptation, especially considering being married to a prospective wife. And single and relatively young David is a newly elected prime minister. At 10 Downing Street, he is attracted to one of the new household servants, Natalie, and isn't sure what to do about it as seen their respective positions. And the probable public scrutiny and an incident involving the visiting U.S. president, socially unaware Colin Fristol believes that the lack of romantic love in his life is the fault of standoffish woman. And as such, he decides to take decisive albeit somewhat unusual geographic action. And then John and Judy are movie body doubles. They can communicate with each other straightforwardly while they are similarly stuck filming a movie, but they not be able to translate the feelings that being the stimulation in real life to each other. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of plots in this movie. 5 bloody plots. Like, how did this even get made? Like, initially, Curtis stated that writing 2 distinct separate films in mind, each featuring expanded versions of what would eventually become storylines in Love Actually, and I'd rather this get split into a few films instead of one bloody 2-long movie. Those would feature Hugh Grant and Colin Firth's characters, then he changed tack though, because he had become frustrated with the process. And partly inspired by the films of Robert Altman and films such as Pulp Fiction, why did you have to get inspired by a better movie than this? Yeah, Pulp Fiction is a better movie than this, and you just had to go copy the idea and concept of a better masterpiece. Why? And it inspired Curtis to have become more interested in writing a film about love and what love sort of means, and the idea of creating an ensemble film. And he initially did not have any sort of Christmas theme, but Curtis's penchant for such films caused him to write it as one, even though this is barely even a Christmas movie. And his original concept of the film had 14 different scenarios instead of 5, and 4 of them were cut, even though the 2 had been filmed. Like the scene in which Colin attempts to literally trap the female caterer, as the wedding apparently drafts a screenplay with 4 weddings and a funeral, it was cut from the final version. And the music video for Billy Mack's song Christmas All Around was also cut out. Curtis had spoken negatively about the editing process for the film, which was labeled in 2014 as catastrophe and the only nightmare scenario he had been caught in. And they rushed the movie in order to be ready for the 2003 Christmas season, which he had likened to three-dimensional chess, and for the scene in which Rowan Atkinson's character annoys Alan Rickman's character, Alan Rickman's reaction was genuine, because he had been driven insane by the time constraints, and even Hugh Grant disliked filming the dance scene, as he called it excruciating and absolute hell, so I guess you could say a lot of people actually did not like filming this movie at all. A lot of the cast members must have really hated filming this then. If the director didn't like filming this, then you shouldn't have. I don't know why you made this idea in the first place if it was going to be hell. And it's an international co-production between the United Kingdom, United States, and France. And it would go on to be released into theaters into the United States on November 14, 2003, literally just a week after Elf, and a week later in the United Kingdom. To mixed reviews from people, but apparently, so it didn't stop Lust actually from being a box office success because it somehow made $245 million worldwide on a $40 million budget, and it literally gets a Golden Globe nomination for Best Motion Picture in the musical or comedy. And somehow, audiences seem to apparently really love this movie because it now gets shown every fucking day during the Christmas season, and it's proved to be more popular with audiences than critics. Why? It gets discussed as even a modern-day Christmas staple, which I disagree with, because as for my reaction, each their own, guys. I hate to say this. I think this movie fucking sucks. It's boring. It's too damn long. It's not funny. None of the stories are interesting. There's nothing interesting in this movie. And even though it's 2.5 hours, it feels like it's 3 fucking hours long. Because this movie drags on for fucking ever and it doesn't want to end. Even when you think there's an ending scene, no, they have another bloody scene you have to sit through. Or they're all returning home. You have to sit through more of that. I'm sorry, I think this is one of the worst Christmas movies I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why this movie gets praised. I never understood that. There's just too many characters you don't care about that are crammed in one story. Some of them are even unlikable, or they're just downright creeps. And somehow they're supposed to be considered good characters. Even though their actions are unpleasant and are selfish. A lot of these characters are all selfish and people think they're likable. I don't get that. Now, there's lots of Christmas movies I like. Some of them are much better than this. Scrooged I liked. A lot of other ones. Scrooged I liked. Some of the Rankin Bass movies I like Frosty, Rudolph, the animated live-action Grinch I like. The first 2 Home Alone movies I like. Elf I like. There's lots of good Christmas movies I like, guys. Lots of them. I even like Die Hard, and I like It's a Wonderful Life, and It's a Wonderful Life is, I think, 2 hours long, and that's a better movie. It's a Wonderful Life I would actually rather watch over this. To me, It's a Wonderful Life is still the best Christmas movie ever made. I'm sorry, that's always going to be a thing. That will always be my number 1. It's never going to be dethroned. And somehow, Lust actually... It's what's generally some people consider a feel-good movie, but it has the opposite effect on me. It's not even about being in love. It's about this happy, giddy feeling of a violation and neglects to mention the deeper emotions and complications that arise when you're in love with someone, and it never looks like it might start to get close to that. You have the grieving widower, the wife suspecting her husband has fallen in love with someone else, which is the Alan Rickman story, and make sure it moves quickly onto something lighter, and it's badly written. It's vacuous, it's predictable, it's unnecessarily vulgar at times, and it gets sickly sweet at the same time. Yeah, and like I said, guys, it's 2.5 hours long, and it doesn't feel like it's 2.5 hours long. It literally feels like the movie goes on for 3 hours. Because there's 9 nearly unneeded stories, and nearly all of them are crap. One of them is this British guy believing he goes to the USA, he'll get to fuck girls, and get laid, have sex with them. Yeah, so he can go to the USA, so he can start banging some girls and get laid, get engaged. Yeah, this is a good story. Great story right there. Perfect plot for a movie like this. And he goes straight from getting off the plane to a bar, and four hot girls pick him up for a foursome off screen. And he brings a fifth one home to England, and a sixth for his best friend in England. From the moment she gets off the plane, walks up to the friend and magically just kisses him. No meeting or greeting or anything like that. No getting to know the guy. No, just walks up and immediately falls in love with the guy. Immediately at first sight. Wow, good storytelling. This is a great story right there. Like, yeah, like, seriously. It's pretty much this British bloke, I think, like, body double sex scene guy, filming a sex scene, flies to America looking for sex, and after he arrives, the group of women start to rip his clothes off. Huh? No, like, yeah. No, he meets them. Actually, no, that's not how it goes. They meet him at the bar, and they go and they have sex and they bang each other off screen. That's a plot in the movie, guys. That is actually one of the plots. So that's a good, yeah. That's already a story where I don't care about any of the characters. Right there. Like, no. Those are not characters I like. I'm supposed to like those characters, even though that guy clearly seems like an asshole. If he's just going to pick one of them? No. It's not No, I don't think that's a likable story for a film called Love Actually. Then you have one with the grieving widower. And what happens to meet the lust of his life, this look-alike Claudia Schiffer, and the story, there's a shy porn actor, must have the courage to ask out his co-star he just shagged, and that story. And there's little cute little what-if stories, but where they start and end, each take like 3 to 4 minutes of screen time, or it feels like you're wasting those 3 to 4 minutes of your life. And some storylines just feel disturbing and gross and do not work well in a rom-com that's supposed to be a Christmas film, even though this barely feels like a Christmas film. You have Laura Linney using her emotionally imbalanced brother as an excuse for not having a life of her own. Then you have the little boy who, instead of grieving over his departed stepmother, which I will admit, guys, despite this problem, this was the one story I liked, cares about being noticed by the popular girl in school, who he's never even spoken to, and the story of the guy stalking the newlywed Keira Knightley's character, going to her home, and declaring his undying love for her by flashing a picture of a decomposing mummy. And what rom-com would be complete without the existless, drug-addicted, washed-up rock star who emotionally abuses his manager in a minute, and he declares his gay love for him the next. Like, no. I would rather this film had been focused on maybe like either Colin Firth or Liam Neeson. Or Liam Neeson's stories. Just one story for this would have been nice. Like, instead of that kid trying to ask out this girl in school, it could have been about Liam Neeson finding a new girlfriend finding a new girl to peacefully grieve the death of his wife. And so that both him and his stepson can peacefully grieve over their wife and peacefully move on from it. That would have been a better story. Maybe I would like this film better if it was that, and it wasn't 2.5 hours long. The ones that actually feel like they could be great stories, though, like Colin Firth's story's decent, and Al Rickman gives a fine performance, but their stories don't even get goodly developed. Yes, I get it. It's a make-believe film, but Curtis literally links his romance with ridiculous and lazily contrived scenarios that cover the fact that it's nothing more than a collection of sketches, of creep sketches. And some may seem like they're cute, but this horny idiot goes to America is the worst story of all of them. It doesn't have characters I like at all, characters I don't care about. It's this number of cameos that just fill the dead spaces in the script, just to get the people who love these cameos in the theater. The cast does try to be strong, but much of it is just window dressing. It's like, some get wasted. Like, example, Rowan Atkinson's character in here. Rowan Atkinson is in this movie, and he's like in one scene. One. And it seems to me like the film is arguing such a stirring based on nothing, but somewhat superficial, laying one's eyes on a low-cut shirt. It's apparently a lot of the stuff's considered love, according to Curtis, apparently. And that one feels and just justifies, but it instead demands one to abandon one's home and family and break other societal rules or laws to satisfy the stirring. And though the stirring would last, as though the stirring is somehow considered love. Like, now, the first 30 minutes of the movie, they start off fine. Maybe it starts to make you think, like, maybe this will be fine. Maybe this will be actually good comedy. Well, maybe we'll see why people like it. The first 30 minutes. There's some charming British humor in the first 30 minutes and broader appeal as well. And, I mean, at first you're just meeting the characters. You'll see how they turn out. Sadly, after the first 30 minutes, you're wrong to think that. And, yeah. Instead of actually sympathizing with most of the characters, you change your outlook of them and you don't give a fuck. Instead of rooting for the characters, you become apathetic. Why? Because it makes every story nauseating with dumb manipulative music and cuts to close-ups of beautiful or gleeful faces that force viewers to elicit the hooray emotions. And it's just painful and frustrating. And 30 minutes in the movie, all the believable build-ups just morph into shameless fairy tale-like sequences. It's a bunch of love at first sight silliness. But if this sounds harsh, like, there is no love at first sight here. The very concept of this, it's shallow. It supposes this fundamental misunderstanding of what love even is. There's attraction at first sight, or lust at first sight, not love here. Definitely not in this movie. The most ghastly instance of using music to manipulate the viewers literally comes during a scene where two people that never spoke a word to each other because they don't speak the same language develop feelings for each other, and it's an interesting idea that could have been quite moving if handled deftly, but instead the moment is a bit more blunt, and music indicates that the man develops loving feelings for the woman when she takes off all her clothes to jump in a lake, and viewers are led to believe that the man felt little for this woman until he saw that she looked good in her underwear, in which then he fell in love with her because he's a pervert. So, like, what's this message even supposed to be about? Like, you love someone that you've never spoken to for a long time at all, and that other person's attractive? Like, you know that cliche version of things in movies where usually you'll have a dorky girl in a movie, then that dorky girl would probably take off her glasses, then everyone finally realizes, she's beautiful, and the main guy character can love her now. Think of it, if there was a movie like that, this is probably it. Here. The difference is, though, a moment like that would happen in a movie that's not trying to take itself seriously. Love Actually seems like it really wants to take itself seriously with the lust scenes, and fails. Like, no, it does not work here. If this is supposed to be a drama or rom-com, no, save that shit for comedies that don't try to take themselves seriously. There's too many storylines because they don't want to focus on one storyline to recap doing any justice. There's lots of cheating, horrible portrayal of a lot of non-British people, and you have Billy Bob Thornton and making a cameo. Like, dude, you were later starting Bad Santa. Before Bad Santa, this was the shit you also chose that year. Are you fucking serious? Playing this handsy American president. Like, there's not even a character. There's a character like literally, yeah. And you want to know another thing about this movie, guys? This movie, I like to believe, started off those unfunny Gary Marshall comedies like Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, Mother's Day, those three movies right there. You know, like the Gary Marshall rom-com comedies that's set during seasonal days and literally are just about a whole bunch of subplots of finding the right couple or the right love interest or something like that. New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day were those, where there's no plots whatsoever. It's just a whole bunch of storylines because they can't figure out the right one they want to use. This pretty much started those shitty movies. Okay? It started all those shitty 3 comedy movies Gary Marshall did. Look, rest in peace, Gary Marshall. Rest in peace, but I still think those 3 movies suck. I'm sorry. And this movie pretty much started that dumb trend. Except the difference was those 3 Gary Marshall films were called the holidays they were set on for the titles. This is called Love Actually and just tries to make itself a Christmas film by forcing in a Christmas setting for the more money. Like this film, I'm sorry, there's nothing funny in this film. There's nothing romantic in this film, or should I say, loving or funny. Like about any of the stories or the people involved in the stories. Like the one couple that's Alan Rickman and Thompson. You find at first, you find them interesting. They spend the movie building up this semi-acceptable story that could have also been acceptable for one movie, and it falls flat without any passion or resolution. Like Alan Rickman's character in this movie, the character played by Alan Rickman, rest in peace again, of all people, he contemplates actually cheating, or he probably does actually cheat, you never find out. Then Emma Thompson's character finds out, confronts him about it, there's nothing else. You never find out what happens. All you get is a robotic-like kiss at the airport. The ending. Like, I think Alan Rickman just basically gets off scot-free for being an asshole cheater. And that's the one scene where you have Rowan Atkinson's character. When she finds out. It's at the store scene. Like, and how does all these stories even tie together exactly and end the movie? Well, here's the thing. It's the ending scene ties all the characters, somehow ties the stories together. It's set 1 month later, and all the characters are at the Heathrow airport. Billy's Christmas single squares a comeback. Then Julia, Peter, and Mark meet James and his bride. Oriel carrying the kids greet Harry, and Kara's still reaction suggests that they're going to struggle to move past his affair. Sam greets Joanna, who has returned from America, and Daniel is joined by his new girlfriend Carol and her son. And newlyweds John and Judy, they head off to their honeymoon, run into Tony, awaiting Colin's return from America. Colin returns with one of the girls he banged in the bar, and another girl that he didn't bang. That's for his friend to bang. She meets his friend for the first time and greets him with a hug and kiss on the lips without even getting to know the guy first. No. Yeah, and somehow that's considered a heartwarming moment, even though she just met him. And then Natalie welcomes David back from his flight in view of the press, and the relationship is now public. And these scenes dissolve into footage of actual arrivals at Heathrow. And the screen's divided. Yeah, this is the whole scene, guys. And it's like, and the screen gets divided into this number of smaller segments that form the shape of a heart. And that's how your movie ends. That's how these stories even get linked. Like, but apparently, like, the story, how all these unwanted stories get linked, they're all linked in some way. Like, Billy Mack and his manager do not connect with any of their characters physically. Billy does appear frequently on characters' radios and TVs. His music video twice providing this important plot device for Sam's pursuit of Joanna. And they also cross paths with other characters in the closing Heathrow scene. John and Judy even work with Tony, his best friend to Colin. Works at a catering company that serves as the office where Sarah, Kara, Mia, and Harry work. Mia's best friends with Mark. Runs the art gallery where the Christmas office party takes place. He even lives next door to Natalie. And Mark's in love with Juliet and her friends with Peter. And the couple is friends with Jamie and Sarah. Harry gets married to Karen, is friends with Daniel, her brother's David, works with Natalie, and Harry Karen's children, Natalie's siblings, and Carol's son, all schoolmates of Sam and Joanna. That's how they all get... Yeah, that's how the shit all gets linked together. And they all end at the same location, at the airport. And I don't even need to explain how the movie even begins, because this movie's a mess. It's just jumbled up plots that aren't even interesting to watch. It sends a horrible message to viewers that if you lust a girl and you act creepy and perverted, you'll successfully get love. Good message, good fucking storytelling right there. That's a great movie to watch on Christmas. Someone being a scumbag or just wanting a girl for their own selfish needs is a good story. Good story right there. You should lust to be a creeper, have an affair, be sleazy, break through airport security, ask out a girl in your school. You'll get rewarded with love. This is a Christmas message, apparently. Somehow people, and I'm sorry, each their own, and don't start telling me, you didn't understand the point of the movie, pal, you need to watch it again. You'll understand it better. I've seen this movie countless fucking times because I have to rewatch this shit almost every year. It's a favorite among others, and I have to watch this shit like every year, and it's annoying. And the movie never ends. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why people think this is a good movie with likable characters. Somehow this got a pass from other people, and somehow people like this shit. I don't know how this is considered a Christmas classic. I don't know why it made profit at the box office. And I don't know how it's considered a Christmas movie when it's not even about Christmas. It's just set on Christmas to make more quick bucks. Fuck that. It wasn't even supposed to be a Christmas movie. The director just wanted it to be one. Would I say this is the number one worst Christmas movie ever? Well, no. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as Christmas with the Cranks or Four Christmases or Fred Claus. Oh no, I think Christmas with the Cranks. I mean, Fred Claus and Four Christmases are bad, but even those aren't nearly as bad as this one. Slightly, because at least those movies are not 2.5 hours long like this. They have much better run times, so at least they get over with quick. I'd say the worst ones are Christmas with the Cranks, Black Wokemas 2019, 8 Crazy Nights, and even though 8 Crazy Nights is a Hanukkah movie, even though which is really sad, and of course, oh yeah, probably almost every single Home Alone sequel after Home Alone 2, including the direct-to-DVD ones the most. I think those are worse. This is probably also one of the worst Christmas films ever, but the reason why it's not number one is because there's one story I liked. And I like the Liam Neeson storyline. Liam Neeson and his stepson, they did have some good dad and son chemistry with one another. And that's probably the one subplot of the film that doesn't feel like it's about, that isn't about some stalker or some creep or lust addict. It's the only one that actually feels like it's more about love. I don't know why it could have been only a film about these two. If you wanted comedy in it, you could have, Rowan Atkinson's character play an actual more role in the storyline here. You could more role in that storyline instead of the asshole Alan Rickman storyline. I'm sorry, I can't believe they actually made Alan Rickman play an asshole in this movie, of all the things they had to do. Rowan Atkinson's part, I will admit, I found Rowan Atkinson's part entertaining. I do like Rowan Atkinson and some things he's been in I've seen. I mean, I remember liking the first Johnny English movie back when I did see it. Haven't seen it in years though, but I remember liking it. I haven't seen any of the sequels, but I remember liking the first Johnny English. I also liked Mr. Bean's Holiday, and there's some Mr. Bean shorts I liked, and I do also like him as the voice of Zazu in The Lion King. Well, and I wish the first Lion King movie. Sadly though, but Rowan Atkinson just gets wasted for one scene. So did we really need his character in the film if it was just going to be wasted for one scene in one of the storylines? Definitely not. And that's why I would have rather he played an actual role and it be a Neeson's subplot. And it probably would have made them, and if the movie was just about either Colin Firth or Liam Neeson's plots, this could have been interesting. Not some jumbled up mess of plots that they don't know what they want to be about. And actually have it be about Christmas, if you're going to be a Christmas movie, which this movie is not. Any of those ideas would have made a better holiday film. No, we don't get that. Regardless what I think Lust actually is a better title for this movie. It's overrated, and if you honestly don't want to be bored for 2.5 hours, unless your girlfriend forces you to watch it every year, then you should totally avoid it, unless you have that reason. Unless you have a reason you have to watch it every year. In the end, avoid Lust actually and watch anything else that isn't as boring as this. It sends a horrible message, doesn't have many good characters or good storylines that are interesting, and is just a chore to watch. Anyways, That's it for my rant of Lust Actually. And if you're wondering how to rank Lust Actually, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you want to be bored for 2.5 hours to watch a film about lust and being creepy, then please avoid this to watch any better Christmas movie instead. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Lust Actually, I'm going to give Lust Actually a 3 out of 10. There we go. Wraps up the rant for Lust Actually. So, let's go to the next Christmas review. Well, the next of 2 final Christmas reviews are going to be for 2 Christmas horror movies. Our first one is another talking snowman film. It's not like the one I did last year. It's actually a horror direct-to-DVD one that has a cult base with horror fans. If you're familiar with That Snowman, horror fans, yeah, Jack Frost is next. The horror version from 1997, the one we got before the Michael Keaton version. But yeah, until then, guys, that'll be it for this rant. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.